Hi, welcome to Active Aging. I'm your host, Danielle Procopio, and I'm very excited to introduce you to Kris Siciliano. Kris is the director of At Home with Shepherd, Shepherd of the Valley's home health agency, and they are starting a really exciting program this January, and I'm excited to talk with you a little bit about it today. Kris, thanks for coming.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know you've been on the show previously. It's been a little while, but it's good to have you on today, and we can kind of get some updates about what's going on with home health and talk a little bit about your new program.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So I know that in the last several years we've seen a large shift to home and community-based services. It seems like for a really long time when people got sick and there was an illness or an injury, typically they stayed in the hospital and then we would get them over to skilled nursing, possibly into assisted living. And it really seems like there's been a shift now to try to keep people at home. And we're seeing an increase in the use of home health services and hospice services. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit today about if someone is dealing with an illness or injury at home, kind of what they can do to stay home and stay safe, and how caregivers can find some support, and how home health fits into all that. So can you tell us a little bit about At Home with Shepherd?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Shepherd of the Valley Home Health has been around since 1997. So we've been around a little more than 20 years. Shepherd of the Valley established that in order to add to the continuum of services that they had, not just assisted living and skilled nursing, independent, but to add the home health component to that. Home health services have grown significantly in the past probably 10 years. Okay. There's very much a shift away from acute care and even the post-acute care building settings into home. And as we see the baby boomers start to age now, that leading age is just coming now. So we're starting to see that people want to stay in their homes. And home health services fits very well into that because we can, and that's really our role, to make sure that people stay in the home where they want to be. And we just assist them with things that they need, daily living services, homemaking services, nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, a lot of different services that we can offer through the home health benefit.
Very good. And I know that home health is a really critical piece because, you have to be sick enough to get into a facility. And before you get to that point of sick enough, a lot of times we're at home and we're needing assistance, or maybe we just need some therapy services or some education. And so I don't think everyone realizes that you can have a nurse and the skilled team come out into the home and actually help you. So it's a much needed service. And I know I'm grateful that Shepherd brought it on to fill that gap before they go out into skilled care or into assisted care. What services can we see then when home health comes into the home? What are the people that will be coming in? What does that look like?
Well, we have two sections to our home health agency. We have our skilled section and we have our private duty section. So We'll first talk about the skilled section. What that entails is the nurses, the physical therapists, occupational therapy, speech therapy, medical social services, and home health aides.
Wow.
We can offer those services to folks in their homes. It is covered at 100% under their insurance benefit. We accept Medicare HMOs, and our services are covered at 100% with no visit limit.
Fantastic.
So that's unusual. Most other areas of healthcare do have visit limits, or they kind of limit the services, and we don't have that with home health. Okay. So we can go in there, and really the main focus of what we do is education, teaching about medications, about disease process, and really teaching people how to manage their care when we're no longer there. When they get a little bit better and they feel a little bit better, then they can do without our services. So we teach them, we teach family members, we teach neighbors, we teach a lot of other people how to manage that patient in the home and how to keep them right where they want to be.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to talk about the education piece, because as we see more people are staying at home as a result of changes to healthcare and health insurance and what's allowable, we're seeing that the role of the caregiver is being more and more thrust into the spotlight, and the number of unpaid hours that are being provided by loved ones or neighbors. And so to know that home health can come in and provide some education to make that process of being a caregiver a little bit easier is really important and critical, I think. Not only for someone to provide safe care, but also to give them some resources to help provide less chance of burnout. So I think that's really important. It's something critical that home health does handle.
Absolutely, and that's something that even as many years as home health has been around, we've really shifted in our care from just task-oriented things like people that needed IVs in the home or things like that, to now it is really a lot of education, and most of our medication education happens at the kitchen table. So it's patient, caregiver, who's doing the medications, and how we manage that piece of it, and how we talk about disease process and how we avoid hospitalizations. We keep them out of the hospital, we keep them at home. We keep them, as good as they can be in their home, and that's really important for everyone.
Absolutely. So it sounds great. How does someone qualify for home health? How do we start the home health process in the home setting if it's something I'm interested in?
Okay. Well, for skilled services, that does require a physician's order. So we do typically start with the physician and obtaining orders for the nurse, PT, OT, speech, whatever services are needed in the home.
Okay.
Patients do need to be called what's considered homebound. Doesn't mean they cannot leave their home, but it means that they can leave their home for short periods of short duration, infrequent visits outside of the home. They can still get their hair done. They can still go to church services. They can attend medical appointments, different things like that. So that would qualify them if they were homebound and considered homebound. That qualifies them.
I've always heard when we talk about homebound that it takes a considerable effort to get out of the house. So it's not that going to the grocery store or church is an easy thing for you. It's that it takes a lot of effort to get out. So you are allowed to leave. It's just it's going to take a lot of help.
A considerable and taxing effort is what we call it.
Okay.
So yes, we do have to assess the patients, and we do go out and we make that assessment. The nurse typically is the first person out there, so they make that assessment and see what your ability is to leave the home, and we determine that they're eligible for our services to be covered under the Medicare benefit.
Okay, very good. And so you mentioned the Medicare benefit. So when we're looking at the skilled piece of home health, how is that paid for? And is that all insurance, Medicare? That's what we're looking for, some type of insurance. So it's not typically privately paid.
Correct.
Okay, so now the private pay piece of that, I know that's also an option. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
Absolutely. Our private duty home health services are typically involve a home health aide.
Okay.
So the home health aide is doing custodial care. We consider custodial care, meaning bathing, house cleaning, errands, laundry, different things that aren't covered under the skilled benefit are covered under private duty. That's all privately paid, but you can sign up for anything from 2 to 24 hours a day.
Oh, fantastic.
We have aides available, so whatever is needed, whatever the families need for the patient, or the patient needs something, even if it's companionship, to just sit and talk about play cards or talk about their story, different things like that. So that's very, very important. And as we see caregivers and family members living out of state, so often, excuse me, they have a lot of times when everyone's away and it's just the patient. So they really want to make sure that they're cared for, and that they, even like I said, if it's errands or just housekeeping or companionship, we're there for them.
That's perfect, and that's got to be a huge relief as a caregiver. If you're, and I know a lot of our caregivers work. It seems that a lot of them are still working, and so they're trying to balance work and possibly children as well as caring for their aunt or uncle or mother or father. So to know that there's someone that can come in during those work hours and assist, or even just help with bathing, that has to be a huge relief for families.
Absolutely, and as we get so many people now that are in that sandwich generation where they're caring for their parents and caring for their children.
Right.
So it's very much a relief, and that's a lot of times people will call us and we help them, and they don't realize how much time they were doing those things when they aren't able to they're able to focus on something else while we're in there caring for their loved one.
Well, we appreciate all that you're doing for those that need home health. And one of the reasons that we talked about having you come on today, and something I'm very excited about, is you have a new program that Home Health is introducing, that Home with Shepherd has started, and we call that Steady Steps. So can you tell me a little bit about Steady Steps and kind of how it came about? It is a fall prevention program. So what is it about falls that kind of made you feel like we needed to build a program for this?
Falls are a huge problem in healthcare right now, and if you read any of the literature, any of the research, that's very much a huge component of healthcare right now. 1 in 3 older Americans, age 65 and older, falls every year.
Oh, wow.
1 in 3. It's a huge problem. It costs the healthcare system about $32 billion annually.
Wow.
To care for people, whether it's in emergency rooms, whether it's a hospitalization, and skilled nursing, if they fall and break a hip. Something like that. So we're talking about billions of dollars. It's a huge problem, and as people are living longer, it becomes an even bigger problem, because we have those people that are aging in place, they're alone, they fall. There's a lot of different things that contribute to falls, but it's a huge problem.
Sure, and I'd imagine that since you're talking about those over the age of 65 having that higher risk of falls, as we get older, it's harder to heal. And so when you have that fall, something as simple as, that should be simple, becomes very complicated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it causes a lot of setbacks in their health. And it's people over the age of 65 usually have more than one disease process going on. So when you have that, it impacts everything else that's going on with you. It impacts medications. It impacts a lot of aspects of their life. And it is more difficult for healing. It is more difficult to recover from things like that. So it's a huge problem and something I felt needed to be addressed.
Absolutely. And I know too, in some of our discussions about it, when we've talked about the physician role and all this, we don't always disclose falls to our physician.
Absolutely.
It's something that maybe we don't want people to know happens because it's a sign of getting old and loss of independence.
Absolutely. And at least half of the elderly people that fall do not report it to their physician. So even though the physician asks them every appointment, have you had any falls? Most people don't like to admit that because it is an admission of maybe I'm declining, maybe I can't stay at home, which is, loss of independence is a huge thing for folks. So it's hard for them to say that and be honest about it. They usually just say, I'm okay.
And I think one of the reasons that I'm really drawn to the program is that you've identified some of the factors that put people at risk for falls, and then have actually come up with some solutions. And so ideally, people that enter the Steady Steps program will leave it much stronger and at less risk of a fall. So if you're someone who's experienced a fall, then this is a solution that might help you minimize risk in the future. So what are some of those factors that you found that will put someone at risk for a fall or that might mitigate a fall?
Okay. One of the biggest things is muscle weakness. So lower extremity weakness, as we age, we lose muscle mass every single year over year. So lower extremity weakness is a big factor in falls. They get up, they feel like they can't hold their weight, and down they go. That's a big factor. Medications is a huge factor, and as we age, we seem to pick up more and more medications. So that's definitely a part of it. Also, vision. When you have low vision, as you know, when people age, their vision tends to go, and a lot of people don't have the appropriate prescription lenses, or they don't wear their glasses, or they have macular degeneration, or glaucoma, or cataracts, or things that need a physician's attention. Another thing that contributes to falls is lack of feeling sensation on the bottom of your feet, which we call loss of protective sensation. So when you can't feel your feet on the floor, it's really hard to stay on your feet.
Sure.
So that's a big part of it. And also the problems that they have with getting durable medical equipment in their home. Some people don't have the appropriate medical equipment. Some people don't have any medical equipment. They need grab bars. They need a ramp or a walker, different things like that. So that's one big factor in falls, that they don't have the appropriate medical equipment.
Wow. Yeah, and I know that medical equipment can, really make a difference. And so is the program going to be providing medical equipment for your clients?
We do. We have home modification specialists on board, so they can do light home modification, like installing grab bars and ramps and things like that. So when our therapist goes out, they identify what's needed in the home, and they're the experts. So they definitely can identify what can make this environment safer for this patient. So it's that's a very, very important piece of it. So we can go in, do some home modification at low to no cost to patients and families. So that's a very, very big piece of the program.
Absolutely. Because I know even sometimes where we know that we need grab bars, we just don't know how to get them. And then we don't know how to install them, or we don't have someone to install them. So if that's removing that barrier, that's definitely going to affect the environment and allow the environment to become safer. What are some of the other ways you're addressing these factors that you've identified?
Well, especially the muscle weakness part of it, our therapists that go out and do the Steady Steps program will have ankle weights with them. And they use these ankle weights to perform exercise programs. It's a standardized exercise program called the Otago exercise program. It's been a clinically proven exercise program for those 65 and over. They use ankle weights in a progressing system, so they add a pound every week. So they start at 1 pound and go up to 5 pounds. So it builds their muscle strength. So that's one of so exercising and moving and keeping active, that's a huge piece of it. We also have, to address the medication issue, we have a pharmacist that we have on staff that will be reviewing everyone's medication regimen when they come on the program. So they will review the entire med list, and they will communicate with the physician if there's something that they see on there that may be some med interactions, or maybe they're on a medication that maybe is not necessarily recommended for someone over the age of 65 based on their other conditions. So that's one of them, and that's a huge piece of it. The medication piece is very big, and have a pharmacist on staff.
Absolutely. What a great resource, because how many people have the opportunity to interact with a pharmacist and look at those meds and see if there's any interactions or problems that they need to be aware of.
And a lot of times they do interact with a pharmacist, but they're just picking up one medication, or every once in a while they'll pick up their refills. But to have that whole med list in front of them and to be able to review because it's easy one at a time when you see the whole picture and you see how meds interact with other meds. It makes a difference.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Whom else then might they interact with or be talking to? I think, did we mention a nurse yet? I don't know if we've talked too much about how the nurse...
We have not, but the nurse is really the first person that you're going to see under the Steady Steps program. So the nurse goes out and determines the eligibility for the program to make sure, to make sure that you are homebound, and because this is under a home health episode. So as we talked about what their eligibility for home health is, this is under a home health episode. So the nurse goes out. She checks the vision, so we do a little eye chart test. We also do something called a monofilament test.
Oh, wow.
It's a little monofilament that we put on their skin, on their bottoms of their feet to check. It's a little tickly, but otherwise, and we check to see if they can feel all of there's a little map of the foot. And we check to see if they're feeling the balls of their feet, the bottoms of their feet, and where their sensation is at. So the nurse does all of that. She also does a complete head-to-toe assessment. So she's really the lead person in that. She's the one that goes out and checks for the vision, the loss of protective sensation. She does some of the balance testing. We do several balance tests. So she does some of the balance testings, and the physical therapist is the next person that you see. They complete the other balance tests.
So what I love about this is it sounds like you're doing some testing at the beginning. So we're able to create a baseline. And then at the end of the program, do we retest to kind of see where we've progressed to?
Yes, we test the same exact balance test that we do at the beginning. Also, interestingly enough, this program it uses a self-risk assessment. So patients can do a little flow sheet, a little scoring card, if you will, that talks about their feeling about falls. How confident are they about falling? Are they fearful of falling? Have they had a fall? Do they feel out of balance sometimes? So they take that at the beginning and at the end. And we take all of that data from start to finish, and we look at how the outcomes are and how much more confident the patient feels at the end of the program. If they feel a little bit better about, because confidence in your ability to stand up and walk and not fall, fear of falling is a problem. So in their ability to feel more confident, we're going to track all of those results. So everything is the same at the beginning and at the end. So we make sure we're tracking all of those outcomes, and we're really seeing. And we're going to share that with the physicians as well.
Oh, good. So then the physician will also have that information to create that time to have a conversation during the next appointment.
Absolutely.
Very good. So the self-risk assessment that you mentioned, I'm having trouble talking today. Is that something that if I'm interested in the program, maybe would be a good first step for me? Is that something that's available to the public?
Absolutely. It is on our website, sovathome.com. It will be on our website, so you can take a look at that. And really, I think it's a good tool just to look at it and maybe score yourself on it and really be honest with it, because no one else is looking at it at that time. But really looking at that, or if a family member feels like they can look at that, if you score 4 or higher, you're probably at very high risk of falls. And it's really a good conversation starter for the physician, because like I said before, half the people don't want to talk about it. So if you fill that out, take it to your doctor, or maybe you're taking mom to the doctor, take it and say, you know what, we had this self-risk assessment. She kind of scored kind of high on it. So that's when Steady Steps comes in. So we can sort of have impact on that and see how much better we're doing. So it's a very standardized program where we go from beginning and end, and we take a look at the results.
Perfect. Well, that sounds like a great tool and a great first step for a lot of us that might be interested. I think that you might have brought some of the tools with you today that you're utilizing.
I did.
Can we take a look at those and kind of see what to expect when the nurse comes out to the home to do the assessment?
Sure.
Perfect.
Let me get that.
I know that there's a lot of different balance tests that are out there, and I think one of the things that I'm really impressed with is how much time you guys spent looking at the research and really finding programs that were proven to work and incorporating those into the program, so that we're not recreating the ball or starting from scratch. So we're already utilizing programs that have been approved and we know work in this population.
These are outcome-based, clinically proven programs, balance tests that are very standardized, so it's not something that we can deviate from. It's very standardized things. One of the balance tests that we do utilizes this. This is a balance pad. This is a 2.5-inch foam. It's like a memory foam. So we have...
It's sturdier than I expected.
It's very sturdy, but when you stand on it...
I'm sure it's not.
The one nice thing about this is that it's a proven balance test to show how you do without solid ground under your feet, because sometimes it's good, you're feeling good when you're on the ground, but when you're on an uneven surface, which this is very uneven surface, we test people on the floor with their arms crossed, just standing. Then we have them close their eyes, which takes away their vision, which is a big component. So it takes away the visual part of it. We see how they do there. Then we put them on the foam, eyes open and eyes closed. The therapist is right next to them, just in case, because when they close their eyes especially, sometimes you get that little sway going. So the therapist is standing right there. But this is a really good tool to indicate how well you do on uneven surfaces, because as we all know in our home, we typically don't have 100-feet long hallways that are free of obstructions. And, we go from linoleum to carpet, and then to shag carpet, then to Berber. So there's a lot of different surfaces in our home. So this is very, very important to use this foam pad. So when you stand on it, it's surprising how it takes away that solid ground, and it's a little challenging, but it's a great test for ours.
And it looks relatively easy, so people know not to be afraid. It's something that's easy to do.
It's very easy. The therapist will instruct them how to do it, and like I said, the therapist is typically right there. So in case you start to sway or lose your balance, you're not going to go to the floor. So this is a really good tool.
My balance isn't the best, so when my turn comes, at least I know someone will catch me.
Now you know. We also have medication planners. This is a daily medication planner.
Oh, wonderful.
It goes through multiple times a day, and it's a 7-day-a-week thing. So we do give these as well. Very, very important to organize your medications. So we have that as well.
And that's great too, because how many of us forget to take our medications or take it at the wrong time of day? So if you have the whole week kind of broken down by time of day, if you forget, the pill's right there. You're not going from the large bottle and trying to remember, did I or didn't I? So that's fantastic. I think that's a great tool.
And I think too, it's good for the nurse to see, because if you go there on Thursday and these ones are still full, then we can have that conversation about remembering to take medication.
We could speak a whole 30 more minutes about medication adherence, I'm sure. But that is a great tool. And it is important to note, too, that your nurse will help set those boxes up. So it's not that the box comes into the home and then we expect you to sort through the purple and green and striped pills, but the nurse will help set that up. So
the nurse helps with that. And once the pharmacist does that medication review, too, that'll help us a little bit more in determining that, making sure we have that correct.
Very good.
This is our monofilament. We talked about
it's not sharp. I expected
it's not
a needle.
Sharp. When we put it on the skin, we just do a little bend. And you say,
it was not painful.
Can you feel that? It's just a little, like a little tiny little piece. We do the little bend in it, and you can feel it. You should be able to feel that. And if you don't, especially with diabetics who kind of lose sensation in their bottoms of their feet, that's very typical. We can kind of identify that, and maybe we need to have a conversation with the physician when we find issues like that. If that's what's contributing to their falls, then we have that conversation. Maybe we need to do medication change or different things like that. So this is a really good screening tool.
And I love that the screening tool is something so easy and small and basic. I'm expecting large machinery,
no machinery.
Or something very overwhelming, but it's amazing that something so small can tell you so much.
And it's a very good screening tool, like I said, and a lot of times home health programs typically don't incorporate all of these things. My idea was to take all the factors, all the disciplines that we have at our disposal, and utilize those with simple things like foam, monofilaments. We also give out night lights. We give out a night light to everyone on our program, and we also give them a emergency response system button. They get that for a free 60-day trial through a company called VRI. So we supplied them with that, so they automatically get that there's fall detection in the pendant.
Wow, so it's not just the button where if I fall. It's also going to be able to sense if I fell, so they can send some type of emergency help.
It will sense if you fall, and if they don't get a response from you verbally when they go through the pendant, they will immediately contact the emergency response system, and they will come to your home. So especially if you don't respond and say, I'm okay, or I'm hurt.
And that just comes with the program for free for 60 days.
Correct. And then after that 60 days, then they can decide if they want to enroll in the program or not. They have the option. It's completely free. Send it back. Free shippings. They just send it right back if they don't want it. But I think when you start to realize how useful it is, and when so many patients that we get have fallen and they aren't discovered for half a day or hours and they're on the floor, it's a challenge. So this is a very nice service, I think, and it really encompasses our program.
Absolutely. And I'm sure we give some caregivers some peace of mind as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I think this all sounds fabulous. So if I'm interested in getting more information, or if I want to see if I am able to be a member of the program or my loved one, how do I go about getting this started, Kris?
The first thing you can do is call our office.
Okay.
Our number is 330-530-4041. We can certainly answer all of your questions about fall prevention, about steady steps. All of my staff is well versed in the program. So if you have questions, that's probably a really good place to start. If you've done the fall risk assessment, that's very, very helpful as well. You can go in and speak to your physician about it too. Again, we need physician's orders, so whether we obtain them, which we can, or you go to your physician and you ask him about the program. Our number is on the back of the fall's risk assessment. So you can certainly call, visit our website. Definitely ask the questions. Our nurse will come out. If you aren't eligible for the program, then we can have another conversation, and we can go forward from there, and whatever your needs are, we can
find some help for you at home.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Very good. So I know also one other resource that you've actually been able to provide the community for falls is offering to come out and provide some education about fall prevention.
Yes.
So if you are with a group or maybe a church or someone that might be interested in learning a little bit more about fall prevention and how to have home safety, then that's something that people can contact the 530-4041 number as well.
Correct. And they can just ask for me. I'll be happy to do that. I bring out my little road show here with my foam and my monofilament, and we have that conversation, and basically just going over why it's important and how this differs from other home health programs or other programs that are out there. It's very multidisciplinary, it's very multifaceted, and I've taken all the pieces to fall prevention and I've kind of tried to put them into one group.
I think you've done a great job here.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed. I know we only have a few minutes left, and before we leave our audience today, I know that there are so many home health agencies in the area, and a lot of times your insurance company is going to dictate who it is you're able to work with. So, but as I'm making that decision and I'm looking into the home health agencies, what should I think about as I'm making a choice? So as I'm looking at my options that my insurer has provided me, what do I need to think about and look at for a home health agency to work with?
What's most important is the quality of care.
Okay.
The best way to find that out is through a website called Home Health Compare. It's through CMS, which is Medicare.
Okay.
Home Health Compare allows you to pull all of the agencies in this area. We service Trumbull, Mahoney, and Columbiana.
Okay.
You can pull data on all the agencies in the area. And it's really important that you go in there and you look at the quality of care, both how well we do with patients and what our patients are saying about us, because that's both of those things are on there. We do have a star rating system, so Medicare has put that into place about a year and a half ago, 0 to 5 stars. So we do have that. That's a star ranking that kind of tabulates all the data that come in about either patient satisfaction surveys or how well we're doing with patients, and they kind of format that into a star ranking.
Fantastic.
So that's really important. The quality of care, obviously, that's a big factor for everyone. So I definitely encourage you to do that.
Okay.
Also, I will tell you that Shepherd of the Valley Home Health has been on Home Care Elite.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. We've been on that for probably 7 years running now.
Okay.
That is the top 25% of home care agencies in the country.
Oh, wow.
It tabulates the quality of care, and it's really an important honor. That it really takes the highest quality agencies and really puts them out there so that everyone knows. Because that's very important.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you're having someone come into your home to care for you. So I think you've given us some great places to go and look that information up. I know cost is sometimes a concern. Availability, we want to make sure you're coming out quickly, available 24/7. And of course, that you offer the services that I need. That's probably most critical. So absolutely.
And we are available 24/7. We have an RN on call at all times. So if you call my office, if you call that 503-04041 number, at 7 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to get a registered nurse on the other end of the phone.
Wow.
So that's
very good.
That's important as well.
That is critical. And hopefully some of our audience will be reaching out to you and talk with one of the nurses that's there 24/7. So Kris, thank you so much for joining us today and talking a little bit about the program. Until next month, I want to thank our audience for spending some time with us, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.